Welcome back to Z-Speed, and thanks for tuning back in. Today we'll be replacing the rear speakers on this 2003 to 2007 Honda Accord. We're running a stock stereo system in here, and we'll be replacing the 6x9 speakers on a budget. So if you're interested in a step-by-step guide on how to replace these on your own, just stay tuned. Okay, before we can get started replacing the speakers, we will have to remove the speaker panel cover. Hopefully yours are still intact like mine. I know they're getting pretty old now. Mine's held up pretty well. And I know your first thought would be, hey, we'll just use a plastic panel removal tool. We'll pry up very carefully all around the edges and get this thing popped out. And that's a big no-go. Freeze on this. Do not do this. Oof. This is not the way we do it. If you're wondering how we're going to do it, we're going to do it from inside the trunk. We're going to come around and access it from inside. It's pretty simple. There's a bunch of little tabs that go around the perimeter of this little speaker cover, and we're basically just going to push up from inside there and pop each one loose, and then we can remove the speaker panel cover. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and remove one just so you can see what it looks like. Boom, there you go. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like from inside the trunk. Okay, let's head on into the trunk here so you can get a good view of exactly what's happening inside here. The good news is there are only 4 tabs holding this panel on, so we just need to squeeze 4 of these and release them. You could squeeze them with your fingers if you got some nice strong fingers, but apparently mine here aren't strong enough, so I'm going to have to resort to whipping out the needle nose pliers. You just want to be gentle here, don't get too crazy, and just squeeze it. You'll probably snap it off. You can see I just squeezed it lightly, and then I was able to compress it and push it through. Just go around each corner and release these, and then push them up through the metal part of this panel here. It wasn't too difficult. Just take your time, be gentle with these tabs. You know, they're pretty old, so they could snap. So once I get them all released, then we're going to come back into the back of the vehicle here, and we're going to remove this panel. Okay, now I'm going to come inside the back of the car. We're going to lift up on this. I had one that I was having trouble getting to come loose, so I'm going to show you how to just lightly pry up on it. See that corner? And it broke loose. These little white plastic tabs actually attach to the speaker panel itself. So if you damage one, you can replace it. You can see they slide in and out. So I'll leave a link below if I can find some of these little tabs from Amazon. In case you break one, you'll have a backup. But it wasn't too difficult. As you can see, they will compress and break loose. And we can eventually get this panel out of here without damaging it, hopefully. And now we have 4 small little screws holding this stock speaker in. So we're going to go ahead and release all 4 of these bolts, and then we can get this old speaker out. Okay, now it's time to get the 4 bolts that hold this 6x9 speaker in. You're going to need a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 8mm extended socket. It makes it a lot easier if you have an extended socket. You could probably do it without it, but I would recommend that if you do have one. You can see that these first 3 bolts are easy to visualize and get to. No problem here. You can just go to each one, loosen it up, and we're going to be able to pull them out. Now the 4th one is down in the right-hand corner underneath the lip of this cardboard backing that's, covering the speaker. And so you kind of have to get squeeze your extended socket onto the screw head, and I had to get my head in there to visualize it, but it's not that hard to find. It just took me a second to spot it, and then I was able to get this extended socket on here and then ratchet this bolt out. Okay, once the 4 bolts are removed, you can come back into the trunk. We're gonna squeeze on both sides of these tabs right here, squeeze them, and then just gently rock it side to side, and it should come loose pretty easily. It wasn't too bad at all, and I've got it removed. So now you can see, look how tiny those speaker magnets are, by the way. We're gonna get a lot better bass once we replace these. But now that you've got this removed, we can just kind of push up on the speaker. You can see I've got to kind of tap it a couple times to break it loose. And it's been sitting in there for 20 something years. So you may have to pop it a couple times before it'll break loose. Okay, before we go any further, go ahead and disconnect your negative battery cable from your battery so we don't have any electrical mishaps while we're working on the speaker system here. Well, we don't want to short anything out. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, let's talk about speaker and wiring harness replacement. I think the easiest thing to do is to go to crutchfield.com. Yes, they're a little more expensive than, let's say, like a Walmart, but if you've got a little bit of extra cash, do go to crutchfield.com. I'm not sponsored by these guys. These are just the guys I usually use because you get free wiring harnesses when you buy a speaker setup. So you can see you got to type in your car type. I had an LX chose in there. I'm going to switch to EX because I think mine's an EX, Honda Accord EX. And then once you choose that, you can do the sedan or the coupe. And then it'll show you which head unit you have. I've got the standard head unit, and there's also a nav. So I'm going to choose the standard, and then that'll put you into the speaker category. And we're going to choose the 6x9 category because that's what we're working on, the 6x9 speakers in the rear. And it's going to give you a pretty wide assortment of price ranges here. The key here is that your stock stereo system, if you have the regular head unit, is going to be 120 watts. So you want to stay with low watt speakers. These are two 65 watt speakers. I would choose something like that, or maybe 40 watt speakers, or even 30 watt speakers. You don't want to go too crazy on the wattage. Once you click those, you can hit rear deck, submit, and then it'll show you the wiring harness that you need. That's free if you're ordering the speakers from them. That's why I like this Crutchfield.com, is because they give you free wiring harnesses when you purchase their speakers there. So that's one way to go, is to go through Crutchfield, and you can get a free wiring harness that way. So that's one way to go. Now, if you're on a strict budget, I totally hear you. We're gonna go the cheap way now. We're gonna go to Walmart.com and check out their 6x9 speakers. So just go into Walmart.com and type in car speakers, and you should pull up a pretty big variety here. We're gonna choose the 6x9 category, and they've got a bit to choose from here. So this is much more budget friendly. Let's take a look and see what they have. Remember, 6x9. They also sell 6x8. We don't want that. We want 6x9. Here's a pair for $70 or $69.97. Pretty good deal, not too expensive, a little bit cheaper than Crutchfield.com. But down here, we scroll down a little bit further and we find a set of 6x9s for $30. So you really can't beat that. Obviously it depends on how much money you want to spend and what type of quality you want. I like Sony. Pioneer's also pretty good. It just depends on what you want to spend, to be honest with you. Now, you're not going to be able to get a speaker wire harness with these, so you're gonna have to wire it yourself, but we're gonna go over that in a minute. So I will also link in the links below Amazon choice for you for a 6x9, and I'll see if I can find a wiring harness from Amazon as well. So if you choose the links from Amazon, it'll help the channel out. It doesn't cost you anything extra. So check the links below for my choice from Amazon. But this is Walmart. This is very cheap at $30.71. You can't really beat that. So that's a way to go. Just show up at Walmart and see what they have available, or order it online, whatever you choose. Okay, we're back in the trunk. This is the left speaker harness. I've just opened this clasp right here. Now you can go ahead and clip both these wires, and we can do it without a wiring harness setup, you can wire it yourself. And so you get a little speaker wire that comes with your speakers. If you buy them, let's say from Walmart, you can wire it yourself with the little speaker wire that comes with it. And with the left speaker, you're going to have two blue wires. One's going to have a white stripe. That's going to be the positive wire. And then the blue wire with the black stripe is the negative. So this is for a 2006 wiring schematic on the left speaker. It may be a little bit different from year to year. I'm not sure, but that is the standard colors for the 2006. So the white stripe is positive and the black stripe is negative right here. And then you can hook your wiring harness up to that. Okay, let's take a look at the passenger side or the right side. And we've got two wires, different colors here. We've got a pink wire, or you could call that like an off red color, and a blue wire with a yellow stripe on it. So here on the passenger side, the pink side is your positive, and the blue wire with the yellow stripe is your negative. So when you hook your wiring harness up there, pink positive and blue and yellow negative. Pretty simple. You can use whatever technique you want to put these together with your wiring harness that comes with your speaker setup. But go ahead and wire those up, and we're now ready to place our speakers back in. Okay, now it's time to drop the speakers in and bolt them up. We're going to make sure that the wiring harness attachment on each speaker right there is facing towards the window. So this is the driver's side. I'm going to face that towards the window or the outside of the vehicle, and that just makes it easier when we go to place our wiring harness back on. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and hand thread each of the bolts back into the speaker holes. You remember we have 4 bolts, and I'm sorry about the lighting here. It got dark on me. As usual, I run out of light when I'm doing these videos, but it's still easy to see what's going on here. We're just hand threading each bolt in. We're going to start with the 3 that's easiest to get to, and then that last bolt's a little more difficult. It really wasn't that bad, so this one I'm having a little difficulty trying to get to go back in. So sometimes you can just grab your socket and stick it on the end of your bolt, and it'll help aid you on hand threading these bolts back in. The reason we're hand threading everything is we just don't want to cross thread anything and mess up our threads. So here I've got my ratchet out real quick just to get it to go, and I finally got it to thread. And then last but not least, I've got this bolt in here. You have to kind of get around the cardboard edge here. So it may be a little difficult. It shouldn't be too bad. And once I've got the bolt in there, I'm going to go ahead and use my socket to get the threads going here. So it's pretty simple. You know, that's probably the easiest part here, is just dropping your speaker back in and then bolting it down. Once we go to tighten the bolts, we're just basically gonna hand tighten each one, just snug them up nice and snug. You don't want to go crazy and strip anything, of course, but just make sure everything's nice and snug. You definitely don't want your speaker to rattle or to be loose at all. You want it nice and snug so that when the speakers are playing, that there's no vibration going on. Okay, I've taken the speaker wire that came with my speaker and I've attached them to the 2 existing wires from the car. We talked about the colors a little bit ago, and I've used these little sheaths where you just slide them together and then crush them. This is probably not the best. You can also solder them and then put some shrink wrap around those. That's probably the best way to go, whichever way that you're comfortable with doing. I'm going to go ahead now and plug this into the speaker. The only thing I think I did wrong here was I kind of went a little bit too long with the wire. You want to shorten that up a little bit. You don't want to have too much dangling in the back of the trunk. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the speaker setup here, but I'm going to have to zip tie this excess wire to the existing wire in here because we don't want to snag on anything that somebody might put in their trunk. So I'm going to kind of just grab this and bundle it up and then zip tie it to the existing wiring back here in the trunk. Like I said, shorten it up, make it a little bit shorter if you can, so you don't have so much bulk wire to zip tie out of the way here. But it's pretty simple to zip tie it to the existing wiring in here so you don't snag it on anything that's in the trunk. So go ahead and do that, and then do the passenger side as well. Okay, as far as the speakers I chose, I know somebody's going to ask, so I'm going to put them right here. These are Sony XS-R6946. I believe I got these from Walmart. It was a great fit. I don't even know if they still make these anymore by the time you're seeing this video. But if so, these are a pretty good fit and they sound really well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a sound check, but before we can boot up our stereo, we do have to reattach the negative battery cable to the battery in the car. So we'll also have to put a reset code into the head unit to get it to work. So go ahead and reattach your negative battery cable now. Okay, I'm sorry about the lighting inside the cabin here. It's dark and I didn't turn the cabin lights on, but we're gonna be able to still see what's going on. To put the reset code in, you just have to hit the on button right here and you'll see that word, it says code right there, and the code is 35525. As soon as you hit that, 35525, the stereo will turn on and you'll be able to either listen to the radio or to the CD player, whichever you want to listen to check the sound. We're going to use a CD here, and we're going to use some music that doesn't have any copyright to it, and we're going to check the sound. It's real crisp in the back. It's almost like too much treble in the back now. It's kind of crazy. It's like I got 4 tweeters. It's insane. But yeah, definitely a good upgrade. It's got a lot more punch. We'll do the fronts next, because the back's almost the rear's almost overpowering the front. Oh yeah, much better. For stock, for a little daily, oh man, this is the bomb. Even with this little head unit here. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.